Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. Good. Okay. I muted my phone because we were getting a weird reverb. So we'll see how this goes. All right. Good. All right. So I was just saying, I have two handouts in the middle of the room that I passed out, which are the agency liaison report. For those who aren't aware of what they are, Susan White out at Princeton coordinates this. There are a variety of vendors and IGOs who provide us with an update of information. It can be anything from new publications to information that we should know about with that particular IGO or publisher or vendor. I know I do the WTO, and it is not in the print report, but it is on the online report. So these are done twice a year, both for midwinter and annual. And they're a really good way if you're doing collection development to kind of see what's going on with these different groups. So you can take a look at that. And as I mentioned, they are online, and sometimes the IGOs that don't get included in the print due to deadlines not being met, like by someone like me, they make it online. So I want to do a welcome to everyone who's online and who's in the room. So I think we're going to try and go around the table here in the room and introduce ourselves, and then I will, if it's okay for everyone who's chatting in, I will let the folks in the room know who is online. Is that okay? Great. Joseph, you want to start?
Joseph Yu, UCLA Library.
Did you hear that? Joseph Yu, UCLA Library.
Hi, and I'm Jim Draper from REDX, where I run our product program.
Stephen Wood, Center State Community Development.
Rob Herman, ECU Information. Ian Williamson, OECD.
Sarah Erickson, Chicago Public and GODORT Chair.
And Chris Kasanovich, co-chair of International Documents Task Force this year with Susan Patterson and Stanford University. All righty, so on our chat, we have Brett Cloyd, is that Iowa? Did I get that right, Brett? We have Ramona Kors, who is the librarian out at the United Nations Commerce Gold Library. Here's someone talking. Susan Patterson, who is out at British Columbia. And Jungwon is at University of Michigan. Did I get everybody? I see someone logged in with S, and I don't know who that is. So if you can tell us who you are. Okay, I'm not chatting it. We'll chat it at some point. No, she's yes, Smith is running our tech support. Okay, so thanks everyone, first of all, for being willing to go along with this experiment. First time I've run like an in-person and a virtual meeting. I wanted to just go through our agenda quickly. We had minutes from the 2016 annual IDTF meeting. I didn't receive, at least I didn't see any this morning, changes to the minutes. I actually wasn't at that meeting, so I'm relying on the fact that whoever did the note-taking was, got this all handled appropriately. So I'm going to move to accept these minutes and we'll submit them. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, perfect. All right, awesome. I'm assuming we have some formality for these things. Some news and updates that I want people to be aware of. There has been some work for the task force and the committees in GODORT to write 5-year goals. And again, thanks to the group who put it together at annual and Midwinter. They've written a mission and goals that they think are doable. I don't know at this point, Sarah, we're required to do anything with our group to set or anything, so I'm mainly putting this out for informational purposes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. And I will talk to Susan to see what needs to be done in terms of any action items with the goals and such for IDTF come at the annual meeting. For those who are here, and we're doing online voting for membership for some of the bylaws changes, or no?
So for the bylaws changes that we're be voting on at the membership committee meeting tomorrow, that's going to be an in-person vote.
Okay.
I did not arrange for any kind of virtual voting on it.
No worries.
However, if there's anything that comes out of Midwinter, the ALA election, where we could have a bylaws vote, and anybody who votes in the ALA election, GODORT number should vote. So that's the other way to participate.
That what we're voting on is that
Yep, that's why I have the interest group and the virtual meetings coordinator.
it doesn't just that we're voting
For that addition into the bylaws. Yep. Yep.
there will be another step that is to vote something that will be added as part of out
Okay. So the point with this is keep an eye on ALA Connect for announcements about some of these bylaw changes in terms of kind of governance and how things are going to be done and forward, especially the virtual meetings coordinator. I think that's a really great position, and if you aren't already aware, I think we're trying to be able to optimize virtual meetings over the in-person meetings, given how tough it can be for a lot of us to get to these meetings. So who knows, this may be one of the last in-persons that we do for some of these task force meetings here. We'll see. So I would just recommend take a look at those. If you have questions, definitely post them to ALA Connect. Okay. Any other comments, questions on those items? Okay, so I'm going to move into this thing's going crazy. Okay, agenda item number 4, which is an update and discussion on the United Nations Digital Repository, the UN iLibrary, some outcomes that resulted from the June 2016 ALA resolution on the restoration of the United States Depository of Citation Systems. And I would like to say a big thank you to Ramona Kors for being online and participating with us today. I'm going to have her go first. Yeah, I'm going to have you go first, Ramona, to give us an update on all things digital repository and UN Depository Library.
Yes, hello everybody. Can you all hear me?
Yep, you're coming in
Yeah?
loud and clear. Yeah,
Okay,
perfect.
great. Great. You know, I'm all fired up. I went to the march here in New York. The whole city is under gridlock. I'm happy to say, basically. So I don't know, like I heard you talking about marches also in Atlanta. Anyway, so basically what I can say at this point, it's not really that much, but the first thing is that, this policy proposal that went out last year in March, there have been no further discussions about it in the UN Publications Board, which, that's the body that basically would need to approve any policy changes to the depository library program here. And what I've heard from my supervisor, basically from the acting chief of the library, that the new Secretary General wants to decentralize public information activities. She thinks this may strengthen the role of UN depository libraries, but obviously at this point it's too early to say what exactly will be the impact on our program. With regards to the UN Digital Library or Digital Repository, we were trying to implement this in Invenue version 3. That has proven to be exceedingly difficult, and we're now going to implement something in the basic version of Invenue 1. apparently. And
Invenio?
Invenio is this a digital library software suite that was developed in CERN. I don't know what exactly the full name is. CERN is this, the physics, high energy physics laboratory in Geneva, Switzerland. And
Yeah.
yeah, so version 3, we're working with this with an outside company, a small company of developers, and it's been taking very long, and it's been very difficult to do it in the most recent version, which is it's an open source software, so there seem to be a lot of things, different pieces that are getting developed, but maybe it's just difficult to put everything together the way we would like to have it, because we would want to have certain workflows integrated into the digital library. Like for our mass digitization program, for instance, we need a workflow to bring what we create, the digital files that we create, to bring that into the system. So anyway, so that's the situation with the digital library. Hopefully now this shift to do something more basic will speed it up, so that we will be able to show something in I don't know what time frame, but hopefully this year sometime. Hopefully sooner than later, because I'd really like to see the system going and see how it would look and work. Then we would like to, we've been working on a training needs survey, and basically I have prepared the questions. We just need to format this now and translate it into English, into French and Spanish, and we will probably send that out in about 2 or 3 weeks. So this is just for us to gather some input from depository librarians in terms of how comfortable they would be with online training, like if we created an online training module for depository librarians, and what kinds of online training they're comfortable with, and also a little bit to the skill level in terms of some critical UN research tools. I have read the article by Jim Church, and so he advocates for open access. That for us, for the library, I think I can say from what I've I've spoken with colleagues, or when we've discussed it within within the library would certainly be on the side of providing access to UN information, including sales, publications, and stuff that is normally sold in open access, to increase, to make it easier to access UN information. So the library would be in favor of that. Right now the library is not represented on the UN Publications Board, so it's a little, this kind of hampers our ability to directly present to the UN Publications Board, so it's difficult to know what is presented to the members on our behalf. At this, so this is kind of something that also the ALA resolution addresses to some, in some way. I have not heard much with regards to what action IFLA is planning to take, if any action, and also I'm not up to date, unfortunately, on action by other national library associations. There was some activity in Germany, but I don't know where that has gone. I should probably catch up or get an update from the Secretary of GOPS. GOPS is the Government Information Official Publication section of IFLA, and the secretary there is from Germany, and she may be more, have a better insight into any action or activity, like advocacy efforts in Germany. And that's my update. And yeah, if you have any questions, I'm here or anytime you can.
Ramona, I have a question about the training aspect, the training survey that you're sending out.
Yeah.
So will that be going out via email to all depository libraries? And can we distribute that via the International Document Listserv, or do you not want it to go out that wide?
No, we'll send it just like we have our, our internal emailing lists for depository librarians. So it will go out to the depository librarians directly by email, and then obviously the survey I think we're using SurveyMonkey these days, so we have like a contract with them, and it'll be somewhere online, to fill out, and then obviously we'll, my idea is to give like 4 weeks to respond, and then we'll see. I'm not looking for it to get every single library to respond. If I get a half of the libraries to respond, that would be okay for me to get like a representative number of responses. So yeah.
What is the
like
goal?
I'd like to. Sorry.
And so what is the goal of the survey? Are you trying to assess what our training needs are?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so yeah, it's probably going, it may be like very, a lot of, from very high needs maybe, like even very basic training needs to more higher levels. I just want to see what, like we have, because we have limited resources here in the library to develop this, and it may involve quite some, I have no experience, creating something, let's say in Moodle or, like a standalone course online. That's kind of the idea, and probably some WebEx sessions that we can then record and upload to YouTube or Vimeo. But to get a better idea of what we should focus on for this online training that we're supposed to develop.
Great. And would those training sessions be available to people even if they aren't depository libraries?
Yeah, once for instance, yeah, if it's useful to others, yeah, we'll just put it up, and if other people are interested, I don't think why we should limit access to this to just to depository librarians. Some people here have said like, oh, there are some people in the missions. Here, the permanent missions, like if you have an information assistant or research assistant, they would benefit from using it. So, that we'll figure it out. But like initially, this is, like it will be created with depository librarians in mind. But I don't think we would necessarily lock the access down to just depository librarians if it could be useful to others. Or we have information assistants in some UN information centers, and in some they still have librarians, so they may also benefit from some training, an online training course like that.
Great.
But also for us, it's also important, because you need pretty good internet access, pretty fast internet access, especially if you include video and stuff like that in that training online training course, then for depository librarians who are in places where internet access may not be fantastic, you know, I also need to kind of know whether we need to, you know, prepare print manuals, you know, an updated. We used to have like a manual, I think, for just like about UN documentation, the whole system, and whether we should create an updated manual maybe for those that we can just mail out or put online as in a PDF that people can print out, you know, for those who have difficulty using, you know, an online training course, or being, you know, just go through such a course on the web.
Okay.
You see, like, I'm not like, I don't know exactly how all this is going to work out, but as a first step, I just want to get a better idea and get some data on what people would need, and then so that I can reflect together with my colleagues here and see what might be possible to do.
Great. Actually, there's a question in the chat.
Sure.
It's happening with the ODS, or the official document system, and the UN database.
What's the question about the ODS?
Are there any updates? That thing is still running. It hasn't. I've seen it's got a new kind of interface to it, but is there anything going on with that in terms of, because it's running in parallel with the DOG digital repository, if I understand that.
True, yes, and my hope is that we will beat ODS in terms of searching and how the documentation is presented. So, and then once people see that our system will be way better and much easier to use, that they will phase out ODS eventually. That's my personal hope. I don't know, in the UN you never know how things work out, and there's so many also like political aspects to it, because the General Assembly issues a resolution every year stating that the official document system is the official repository, digital repository of the UN, and that probably comes from the people who are maintaining the official document system. So, but you know, if our digital repository, you know, the idea is to bring everything into one place, including publications, maps, you know, audiovisual content, maybe eventually even archiving, you know, UN websites, like the Internet Archive does on the Wayback Machine, and like some other people, like recently I saw this article that a bunch of librarians were archiving U.S. government websites now at the end of the Obama presidency, or, you know, and yes, they were just harvesting government websites. So I hope they harvested that in climate change page that has disappeared from the whitehouse.gov.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure.
And ODS, yeah, they've changed the interface for the classic ODS. The interface looks much nicer, but the search has gotten worse. For instance, in the title search, they changed the default logic from match all words to match phrase, which makes absolutely no sense. And I think they, you know, so, but I don't know why they changed it, because it was different in the older version of the classic, the blue ODS.
Mm-hmm.
And the library tried to, I think we've given them many suggestions, but you know, we had actual, you know, like library staff, colleagues who were on the ODS working group, and I don't know what got across and what didn't. You know, it's difficult sometimes with the collaboration with the our IT department office.
Ramona,
So,
Ramona, can
sorry?
you hear me? You have another
Yeah.
question in the room?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I know we passed, or there was a resolution that came out of ALA
Yes.
that had to do with supporting certain actions for the UN Depository Library. And I was just wondering how well that has worked, and if we need something else to follow that up with, or I guess some of the where resolves were pretty aspirational, and I was wondering if there had been, you know, any movement on some of them, particularly number 5.
I can speak to that.
Okay.
I don't know if you've had any updates. Ramona, we also have a couple of other questions in the chat, which, given the timing we're at in the meeting, I'm wondering if I take those down, because they want to. People are wondering about the UN iLibrary training session that happened. What went on there?
Yeah, I attended it. Yeah, I was there, and you know, Ian Williamson. He gave a presentation, and you know, I did send out. I think I wrote something up and I shared it with some people, but I'd have to double check. I certainly shared it with Jim Church, and I think Peter Heinel, who they were active, and like they wrote something up for a newsletter in the Economic Council of for the UN system. In that newsletter, they had you know, they published a page or two where, you know, both sides were allowed to present their arguments. You know, the one for a basically a subscription database, and the other for the Depository Libraries program, you know, in support of the Depository Libraries program and open access. So that was done. So I did attend this meeting, and you know, I answered various questions about I don't know, there were questions about document symbols and sales numbers and all kinds of different questions, and about like also like just organizing the collection, and yeah, and the you know, the attendance, where there were, I think, about 12 librarians there. Most of them were from NYU, had 5 people there, and there was University of Pennsylvania, and Princeton, a librarian from Princeton was there, and from Seton Hall, and the others I don't remember right now. Oh, from Baruch College. Baruch College, the business has a business library. So, and she was there. I gave a tour to them after the presentations, library tour. That was basically my main contribution. But you know, I also answered questions, and I did write something up.
Okay, Ramona,
I can
Ian,
share it with you.
Okay, great. That'd be good.
Thank you, Ramona, for giving the tour. It actually, I think, was the hook that got most people to come, more to actually see the library and have the whole.
Right.
So it ended up being a nice day. It was a nice representation. We had quite within this meeting publishing as well.
Georgetown, yeah, Georgetown was a professor, was not a librarian. He was a history professor, the guy from Georgetown who came. Was not a librarian, and, you know, so.
Okay.
Yep.
I can share everybody who came.
Okay.
So I'm saying dates for both UNI Library and for version 2, which is launching. I will actually send out everybody on the list today, so that's update.
Okay, that would be good. That would be helpful. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Yes. So Susan, and those of you online, Ian was saying that he will share who was at that meeting with us, as well as the presentation that he gave. So we'll get that out to the International Documents Listserv so we know who that was.
And Laurus from, I think he's the librarian at University of Pennsylvania, also sent kind of a report, and it was posted on the, I think on the IntelDoc or the GovDoc, one of those listservs.
Doc list. Yep.
Yeah, I can't remember which. I'm on IntelDoc. I'm not on the other one.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So we're at 3:35. I want to be mindful of time, especially since our vendors are here, and we want to give them at the time to report out. I did want to circle back because there were questions both in the room and on the chat about the resolution and the impact and kind of what's come out of that. So
yeah, I would also be interested if you have any information about that I can share with my chief here.
Yep, I have a little bit of So with regard to copies of the resolution, if folks want to take a look at that. Okay. So I'm handing out some copies. For those of you who are in the chat, there's a link on the agenda that you can open up the resolution. So a few things that came up. One, I went to IFLA where both Ramona and Sherry Aldis presented. We also had a meeting with Stuart Hamilton, who's the head of IFLA Advocacy, to kind of look at what can we do here, where is it appropriate for IFLA to step in. And he focused in on this resolve of number 5. And so some of the things, so this is interesting. I'm learning kind of when we do advocacy work and when we write a resolution like this, then who are the right people that need to be communicated with at the official top levels to say, IFLA is now going to get involved and we need to notify someone at ALA. So I think we have that kind of communication loop that we got to figure out who do we need to communicate with from IFLA to ALA. So I think I remember that too. And Stuart said that would be important to contact ALA because they are a member of IFLA, obviously, and then so. Yeah. Yep. And maybe that connection could be used to, like, or IFLA could use it to influence other national library associations, or at least inform other library associations, and they could talk about it and see if they wanted to take any action, Yep.
as
so
an awareness thing.
Ramona, we have, since that meeting, we had a couple of phone meetings. I believe Stuart spoke with Sherry, kind of find out, how things were progressing, because he had said he would follow up with her after that meeting. So that was mainly, kind of following up on the action items. Stuart's time commitment, he has pulled in, his name is Stephen Weiber, who's also part of IFLA Advocacy, to work on just this very issue. And he is looking at putting together a briefing note that can go out to the various national library associations, as well as checking in with what's going on in Germany, since they had already actually issued, that library association had issued a letter to their mission to the UN about this whole issue. It's happening both at the depository.
Yeah, exactly. But I think they wanted to escalate. They were thinking of escalating it also to the National Library Association in Germany, or like move it up higher up.
Yep. So that's where we're at, and I'll have more to report probably in a couple of weeks.
Okay. Yeah.
On the side there, I think that advocacy is one of our core values within GODORT. And with the multi-event thought that's going into place, I think it would, I guess I was down with Susan and you, or the committee, to think about how we could document some of these things in terms of, because advocacy for within the international community to look a lot different. Really good at doc, although
It's all kind of topsy-turvy.
Yeah, we're using a lot of processing and aspects. And so I think it would be helpful to sort of document that and send that on to Alice.
I agree. And I've actually put together, there's a link to background documents in our agenda, at the very least, just to kind of start putting all these different materials. So the Akins newsletter article that Jim Church, Peter Heinel wrote, the presentation that you, Ramona, and Sherry did is in there. Some of the background papers are in there, and that's my effort to try and, hi. Good, how are you? Welcome to our meeting. This is the International Documents Task Force meeting. You are more than welcome to join us, of course. I was going to say, somehow anyway, they had that listed like, wait a second. Does not look like the group we were coming in to hang out with. Okay. Anyway, so yes, point taken, and I am working on trying to do better documentation, because partially a lot of the documentation is kind of scattered all throughout email and in the listserv, and I'm trying to bring it all together so then we do have all slides reflected on this, especially on this particular issue. I think it's important to be documenting it.
Well, and then also advocacy.
Yes.
And I'm not, there may be more official channels that are used things between.
But I think it equally, it could be something good to do a webinar or something like that.
Yes.
What I think that all you have to do is write this resolution. Much more complicated.
No.
I think many of our members think that.
Yeah.
That there isn't a process.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. So thank you for bringing that up, and we will, Susan, you heard that, we will have something to talk about after this meeting. And Brett, we will see you later. Brett Coyd is off the line. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up this agenda item, looking at our time going pretty quick, and we've had a few more people join us. Hi. I had a feeling, not a problem. We've actually been recording the session, so yeah, if you would come this way, because we've got both virtual and in-person. We're doing a hybrid meeting. So if you missed it, then we can go back and listen to it. So we're at the point of the agenda where we're moving into the vendor update. And I know I'm going to ask Jim, if you wouldn't mind if we let Ian go first. He needs to leave. He's got a personal commitment that he needs to take care of. So I would say that I would push him up. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, Chris and I have been talking, and most of what I had to update was sorry, I rudely interrupted you, Ramona. But that was actually most of the updates going to be in that presentation. They were a bit too much to go through. That would take about 10 minutes. But I would like to invite everyone to either call or I am back on Monday. If anyone is here on Monday as well, just to catch up, because I think we might answer any questions you may have, both on the UNI library side, where we are content, different agencies coming in doing the presentation and so on. And firstly say thank you for letting me come to the meeting. I'm very glad to be here, and hopefully many. So it's nice to meet you all.
Yeah, so everyone, Ian took over from Kathleen DeBoer. Okay, everyone said that everyone online could not hear you, unfortunately.
Oh,
it should be that mic. This mic should be working.
This is red, so nothing.
Nothing. Well, that should be on.
Okay. Well, sorry, my voice also doesn't carry very well.
Okay.
So
yep. No worries. So just to recap, what they're saying. To recap, Ian is looking at doing kind of a repeat of what the session was in New York.
Yes.
And taking that more regionally, since a lot of people could not attend that. There's also going to be a more fuller kind of discussion about the UNI library content and...
Yeah, get more feedback.
Right.
As it's coming in for a launch with all the back titles, and we start to focus on content moving forward. And then also developing data and so on that's going to be coming in this year. And lots of improvements, continued improvements, even of the original promised title list, which is quite large as it is. So I'd like to actually take that to, say, California and some in the Midwest, so in Northeast and Southeast. Just there's more into discussions with 10, 12, 13 different libraries represented. It's incredibly valuable for us. And I keep everybody appraised. So I don't have many other updates than that. It works. So yes, I just invite anybody who's around Monday would love to catch up, and I will send out my contact information as well, and we'll speak to you all individually and meet all one.
Okay, thank you. All right, and there are business cards here if anyone wants to grab them. Next up is Jim Draper from REDX, and we haven't seen REDX at one of these meetings, I think, in a while. So
yeah, that's what I understand.
Yes.
So I'm glad to be here. Thank you very much for having me. I know we don't have a lot of time, so can I ask you a question and see if I need to tell you a whole lot of stuff before I say what I want to say? Does everyone know about REDX, who we are? And are the acronyms FIPIS and JPRS familiar?
Yes.
Foreign Broadcast Information Service and Joint Publication. Okay. You just stayed 90 seconds. I don't have to explain it. So I came to REDX about 2 years ago from Yale, where I specialized in a lot of things over the years. And one of the product lines at REDX that caught my eye really quickly was the FIBIS, JPRS, and government documents collection, also including the congressional serial set. So I did a little study to see who was using this content, because it's beautiful. It's really important stuff. And here's what I found out. Almost no undergraduates at all were using this content. And it was a pretty good study that helped me really understand what's going on. It was clear, though, that specialists and the higher-end researchers are using the content quite a bit, especially serial set and especially certain parts of FIBIS. So I studied it a little more. Here's what I found out. When you show undergraduates the documents in FIBIS and in JPRS in particular, they think they're really neat, they're kind of cool. They give them perspectives that will help them with their work projects and with their term papers and with all the stuff they do in class. That's really nice. That's the kind of connection we try to make with the content. But then I showed them the interfaces for the product, and they said, no way, we won't use them. Out of the question. They're boring, they're dull, they're old, they're ugly, they look like they're 20 years old. And I get a lot of criticism in the kind of work I do. I'm used to that. I said, I kind of hear your message, which is you want to get a different presentation, and you want the content to line up in certain ways with the work you're doing in class. And they said, gosh, yes, this is what we wanted. So I want to just show you, it'll take just a minute, what we've done at REDX recently with these collections to make them look and feel very differently. You can kind of pass these along, that side and that side. What we did was create from FIBIS, JPRS, and Congressional Serial Set 6 entirely new products. Each is a subset of one of those larger collections. One is from Serial Set, that's the Civil Rights in America collection, it's on page 1 at the very top, that banner. We created 4 new collections from FIBIS, Apartheid, American Race Relations, the Cold War, Global Perspectives, East-West Tensions, and from JPRS, the Middle East and North Africa, and also from FIBIS, Immigrations, Migrations, and Refugees. The titles are designed to really connect with the work that's being done in classes, and all these things are being studied and people care about them. So we redesigned all the interfaces and chose the content using some pretty interesting algorithms, so the machine finds very quickly what the student is looking for, so the paper can get written. It's going really well. People like it, and they're saying, I didn't know that I could do all that with government documents. So it makes us feel good, and I hope it makes people who work with government documents see that there's some extension that's beginning to happen here. But it wasn't enough, we found, just to put some titles on some new subsets and to make them look nice. We found out that undergraduates wouldn't use the content unless we helped them even more. So what you're seeing on page 3 here of the product called the Cold War, this is the very front page. It's the home page of the product. You'll see it's very straightforward in the sense it gives a title, what it is. It's also part of a program. You can see that it's called Global Perspectives, so it gives some identity to the content here. But what you see launching here is something called the Suggested Searches tool for undergraduates, and it's directly for them and for the faculty who work with them. You're only seeing a piece of it, but I've highlighted under the main topic, or main suggested search of isms, slogans, and political philosophies, what those are, as they're covered in the content that we have listed from FIBIS and repurposed here. And this is also very successful, and it took about 2 months. The students said, okay, we get it, we understand this, and we're asking them now, how are you using the content, and they're using it in classroom discussions and in term papers. And for the first time, at least in my judgment, students at that level are understanding that the content from FIBIS and JPRS is unique and gives them perspectives from outside the U.S. that they couldn't get anywhere else. And now the faculty are saying, and this is still early days, but they're saying, we didn't know this content existed. They didn't know, and we can teach some of this in our classroom and create projects. So if you turn over the page, you'll see how we have presented this content in the interface itself. The most important part of what I'm showing you here, in my judgment, is the number 271 results on Brezhnev doctrine. These results are very carefully configured so that the undergraduate isn't overwhelmed with a fire hose of content that's irrelevant. So a lot of editorial work went into making this happen. That's all I really wanted to communicate to you, that there's something kind of happening out there, and we're trying very hard to get to undergraduates in a new way. I actually have 16 more of these products lined up, ready to go. I don't know if we're going to actually publish them. I want to see the pickup on this and get a little more insight from the market. That's what I do, and try to understand it better. But the possibilities here are really endless. And I'm now considering, for example, with our civil rights product, which is the only one we extracted from serial set, doing products that are much broader issues and combining with government documents, old books, newspaper articles, pamphlets, etc., to create a completely curated undergraduate-facing collection on, say, the 10 most important topics they study in civics, political science, and American history.
And
so that's it.
Okay, thank you.
So I just wanted to share that, and thank you very much for the time.
Great, thank you. We actually have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
Ramona wanted to find out if the race relations global perspective includes content about American Indians. I know it says here it's from the archives of the Central Intelligence Agency.
Yep.
So would that include?
So Ramona, the principal focus of that product is African Americans from about 1940 to about 10 years ago. But as the time went on from the 40s up until the 60s and 70s, Native American and tribal issues began to be part of the same issue and the same dialogue. So the answer is yes. It's not the principal focus, but especially from the 60s forward, there's quite a lot of comparative content covering that.
And then I have a question.
Yeah.
So it sounds like the focus of how you're developing the interface and your search algorithms is geared towards the undergraduate experience?
Entirely, yeah.
Okay. So what are you doing in terms of those who are not undergrads, say graduates, who want to interface with this content in, say, a different way by seeing this as a potential text mining possibility since you've digitized the majority, because this is the JPRS, might be the finish.
That's exactly what this is.
And all the CD-ROM content,
So
right?
so to answer your question in 2 ways, this is focused at undergraduates because we want to sell to undergraduate institutions and get this content used there. But we also continue to do all the other things we've done before. And we do get requests from time to time to data mine huge sets like FIBIS. We are happy to comply with those. Nicely, these are not license-restricted kinds of requests. It's really easy to comply because they're government documents. So bring them along. We have a process for it. You can get the content offloaded and put on your mainframe. Then you have to write the software. But we can do that. There's a charge that we have to do.
I was going to say, are you charging for that?
We are. There's just no other way. You'd be surprised at the labor it takes to isolate a content set and deliver it. Yeah, we can do it, and just make the inquiry.
Okay.
We'd be happy to do it.
Okay.
So how did you decide on the topic? Was it in any way tied to curriculum of academic institutions, or somebody came up with the topic?
You're exactly right on the first point. These are related very much to the curriculum that is in play right now in the last 2 years. So we got our hands on syllabi, thousands of them, and analyzed them. And there's a way to do this, and then bought all the textbooks too. Guess what? They all said exactly the same. And some of the topics that aren't included here at this point relate to broad themes like education and health. I think that maybe those aren't really for the undergraduate, but more for the policymaker. But these are the topics that rose to the top. And I'll mention one other thing. We publish in lots of areas of REDEX. We just published the Rand Daily Mail from South Africa, which is a really important paper. It proved to be a perfect complement to our apartheid collection. So we, as publishers, think of it that way. We want to have a sort of complete solution. So that drove that one in particular.
Any other questions? Marcy is not here, so we have the advantage of we had enough time for the two of you, and we didn't have a third person. So I actually, I probably will come see you at the booth because I have questions about the Access UN and the REDEX UN collection, which actually I would have loved to have gotten into that. Yeah, that was me.
Okay, was that you?
Yeah. That was, and
I actually have the answer to your question. So I got all the statistics.
Okay, very good.
Right here.
Okay, excellent. And hopefully I can share that with the rest of the group because there's been discussion on our international documents listserv about that collection and a variety of things. So it would be good for the rest of the community who either were subscribers to the UN REDEX collection or still are subscribers to have that kind of information.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, thank you. Thanks. Okay. If you can't find me, then one of my colleagues may have this. If not, then we'll communicate later.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, very good.
Thank you.
So we are at 3:56, so we ended up taking up almost the entire time. Again, your name from Eastview?
Rob Herman.
Rob Herman is here from Eastview. Did you want to, I didn't have you on the agenda formally. Did you want to give an update, or were you?
Sure, I can.
Like off the cuff? Okay, sure.
It's good. I think partly some of you all may be familiar with Eastview. We are implementing area studies, and oftentimes associated with humanities in the area studies. But I think we continue to work really with the direction of I guess, you all, our customers, people that need information. And so we are doing much more that would be, I guess, classified as social sciences and government documentation. The areas we're very proficient and strong in is the former Soviet Union. We have an office in Moscow and Kiev. We have a collection that just came out that were some declassified KGB documents that came out of Ukraine about the Chernobyl incident, for example. We're doing lots of information with that. We get lots of information also available from East Asia, government statistics, census data, that type of information. So we're going more and more, getting more data-driven products, and we're expanding more into Middle East, Near East, and Africa. As far as getting census data, GIS mapping data, everything else, and trying to create some products where we're mapping or merging together those types of products, your GIS data, census data, and other government information. So we are continuing to move really in our direction of trying to get information from a different perspective than Western perspectives, and really taking suggestions from the community of what information is necessary.
So I actually have a general question for all the vendors in the room. I know you like to hear our input and collections that you'd like to build. What kind of input are you seeking in terms of pricing and affordability for libraries where we might have, you're probably aware of shrinking budgets or flat budgets in this day and age. So what are you doing to kind of seek that input from that community?
In particular, with a number of the collections we're doing is that we make available of collections that we think we can get, and we will put somewhat of a price range of what we can have and asking for prioritization of what libraries would most need. So we're trying to align with recognizing there's limited budgets, there's limited resources on our end as well. So we're just trying to align and work as much as we can in a partnership. Saying if we did this, it'd be in this type of price range. Is this something that would be a priority for you to collect or not?
On my side, certainly those types of things, and also making smaller products, making products with less content in them that cost less to make, you can sell for them. And there's less risk in them, so we can buy more of those. And it's just a commonplace in the industry, I think, at this point. Making this type of thing, to find a new market, which might make the business more stable, I think. We're always looking for interesting, good collections, and we keep finding them, so that's great. I don't think that's going to stop. I think directly to your question, I tend to be more interested, and I think this may be a little unfortunate, in collections that I can get in film rather than have to do original imaging upon them, because they can be produced at a significantly less cost. And quite frankly, if they're in film, they're probably of more interest than the ones that haven't been filmed yet. That's not a truism, but sometimes it's true. So those are real influences. I came from Gale, where we did monumentally huge projects, like Echo and NECO, and these are 100 million page projects. Nobody's going to do those again in the future. And that's because of the budgets. They're just not able to make $500,000 purchases. This won't happen again. Right. I think the last one you'll see of this type is an Arabic digitization project for the whole history of Arabic books that I put together before I left Yale. And they're just completing that now. And you wouldn't believe how much it costs. We'll never get the money back. So it's changed that much, and so that's how we respond.
So, so the products that you're offering with the FBIS kind of targeted one, it's not priced the same way that, I guess, is it kind of priced so that you can just get like one of the packages?
Yes, that's a great question. You can buy one of these, you can buy two of them, they interoperate on a platform we built, or they can stand alone with these features like suggested searches. So you can have them any way you want. And as for pricing, I sort of talked about purpose and vision and all that. I also wanted to make products that you could afford, and you can. It's a very different model. And of course, if it's used in the institution by not just a specialist, then it's easier to get money for it, as we all know. That's part of the story. So thank you.
Yeah, and we're not for profit, so it'll work on a case-by-case basis as needed. But we are also looking to work a little bit more with some social groups that might make access and affordability actually more palatable for a lot of colleges and universities. Plus, on the OECD side, we always have our sub-teams, and they're constantly being updated and looked at. So, you know, we try to be responsive to the market and just talk with our customers as best we can.
All right. Well, this is great. It's always good to have dialogue with our vendors and our IGOs. So I welcome that and welcome your candid input and feedback and presentations. I'm going to wrap this up, 4:03. I don't have any action items from this committee. More informational, so I think there was stuff to get out there, and I hope you all found it to be beneficial. And we'll see you at annual, either online or in person. And I will talk with Susan, and we'll see about maybe having a kind of a virtual meeting in between now and then. And I'm sorry, we didn't. The two of you that came in, we didn't get you to introduce who you are. And
I'm Jessica Torrance. I'm on the membership committee for GODORT.
Oh, very good.
And
oh, that's fine. Anyone is welcome. So we're glad that you were able to make it, and I'm happy. I'll talk with you kind of after we wrap up, just to answer any questions if you have interest in the topics that were on our agenda. So, all right. I don't have a gavel, but calling this meeting. All right. Yeah, I will. And I know who was online, so I can send out requests. So. All right, thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for letting me participate from the far away.
Hey, if that means we can get you in on these meetings, we will do it this way. Awesome. Okay, I'm hanging up on this.